Welcome to Sacrilegious Discourse.
For this is what the Sovereign Lord says.
Why do you need prophets to tell people who you are and what you want?
If you can justify everything that the God of the Bible has done, then you can justify any of your behavior.
A lot of this mentality is trickling into what is now mainstream right-wing Christianity.
I am capable of empathy greater than this God of the Bible.
This is a Bible that they tell kids. This is the good Lord. This is the good book. He is fantasizing about murder, mass murder.
Head over to sacrilegiousdiscourse.com right now to find out how to leave us a review or support us on Patreon.
We get it. Life gets busy. Luckily, with Peloton Tread, you can still get the challenging workouts you crave. Only have 10 minutes? Take a quick Peloton workout. Want to go all out? Chase down your goals with 20 to 45-minute tread workouts. No matter your goals or time, Peloton has everything you need to become everything you want. Find your push. Find your power. Peloton. Visit onepeloton.com.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
When it comes to weight loss, no two people are the same. That's why Noom builds personalized plans based on your unique psychology and biology. Take Brittany. After years of unsustainable diets, Noom helped her lose 20 pounds and keep it off.
I was definitely in a yo-yo cycle for years of just losing weight, gaining weight, and it was exhausting.
And Stephanie. She's a former D1 athlete who knew she couldn't outtrain her diet, and she lost 38 pounds.
My relationship to food before Noom was never consistent.
And Evan, he can't stand salads, but he still lost 50 pounds with Noom.
I never really was a salad guy. That's just not who I am. Even through the pickiness, Noom taught me that building better habits builds a healthier lifestyle. I'm not doing this to get to a number. I'm doing this to feel better.
Get your personalized plan today at Noom.com. Real Noom users compensated to provide their story. In 4 weeks, the typical Noom user can expect to lose 1 to 2 pounds per week. Individual results may vary.
Wife.
And we're back.
We are. This is long overdue.
It is. We're doing a Q&A, not on Saturday, sometime in the middle of the week.
Not even in the right fucking week.
No, it's later.
Yeah, so we
don't suck. American voters suck. And we had to do some mourning and some sadness and some commiserating.
Yes.
And also, I mean, we suck a little bit because our schedule is what threw it off in the first place.
Yes, it is. It is. But we are getting it done. Mm-hmm. And we're doing it now.
Yeah.
So it's here. We made it.
Amos Q&A for chapters 1 through 5.
All right, let's do this.
Okie dokie. All right, let's cover us some questions.
Okay.
From Amos, chapters 1 through 5.
Sounds like a plan.
Is it?
I mean, it seems to be, yeah.
All right, so guess what?
What?
Amos means, in Hebrew, a burden. He's a fucking burden. Either that or the information he has is a burden.
Yeah, or it means absolutely nothing, and that's just,
Right. Who knows?
Maybe his parents were just assholes and named him a burden.
Could be.
Yeah.
What a burden. Yeah. All right. So let us start with verse 1 of chapter 1.
Okay. Yeah.
The words of Amos, one of the shepherds of Tekoa. The vision he saw concerning Israel 2 years before the earthquake when Uzziah was king of Judah and Jeroboam, son of Jehoash was king of Israel.
Okay.
Remember, we were
I
like,
remember
the
intro to the intro.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So, dude was a shepherd, a sheep raiser of Tekoa, which is a small town of Judah, 6 miles southeast from Bethlehem. Okay. And 12 miles from Jerusalem on the borders of the Great Desert.
Got it. Sure.
it was a region more fit for pastoral than for agricultural purposes.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So he owned and tended flocks, and he collected sycamore figs.
Oh, that's why he was a sycamore, whatever thing he was, dresser.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what he did.
All right.
Okay. Amos dates his prophecy according to a local earthquake that was well known to his original readers, but is not mentioned in the biblical record.
Oh, okay.
So, because he says in 2 years before the earthquake.
Yeah.
That was part of the verse I just read. That's why I read it.
Right.
Yeah. So, we're like, the fuck? What are you talking about? What earthquake?
Right.
So in 2005, seismologist Nicholas Ambrazes reviewed the literature on historical earthquakes in Jerusalem, specifically the Amos earthquake.
Okay.
And he states that modern writers date the earthquake to 759 BCE and assign it to a magnitude of 8.2.
Oh, damn.
With an intensity in Jerusalem between 8 and 9.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was a really strong earthquake.
He believes that such an earthquake should have razed Jerusalem to the ground and states yet that there is no physical or textual evidence of this. So he's like, this is what they described, so this is what it should have been, and we are not seeing that.
Okay.
But be that as it may, some earthquake did occur. Obviously not as great as they thought it was, but scary enough that they described it much stronger than it was.
Got it.
And we know this because other literature of that time and other parts of the Bible from that time were like, as great as the earthquake.
Oh.
And this was such a scary thing that happened that you could even say it was an earthquake.
Got it.
Like, lots of literature, evoked that.
Yeah.
Like, as scary as an earthquake.
Sure.
Sure. Like, they just stuck it in there just to make sure to drive it home that that, whoa, this must be for real if it's as strong as an earthquake.
Right.
Remember that one earthquake?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they're talking about there. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So let's move on to verse 3 now.
Okay.
This is what the Lord says. For 3 sins of Damascus, even for 4, I will not relent.
I have a question before we move on to this one.
Okay, because this is really interesting.
No, I got it.
Okay, go.
But did you look up, and are we going to describe what a sycamore dresser is?
No.
Okay, because I got the information. Do you want me to cover it real quick?
Yes, I forgot that was a question.
Okay,
So yes,
all right.
Tell me about dressing a sycamore.
The sycamore tree in the Bible is actually a type of fig tree, and it's native to the Middle East, and they needed a little help in the ripening process. So a sycamore dresser was someone who would make little cuts to help the figs grow.
Oh, okay. So
just
he
for
didn't
the record,
just collect the figs; he also helped them ripen.
With the ripening process.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that was
good to know.
We had the question. I wanted to make sure we talked about it. So
we did, and I forgot about that.
Yeah. Now go ahead and move along.
Yeah.
Sorry.
To
I just wanted to make sure that was covered.
The 3 sins, even for 4.
Yes.
That was a big question.
Yeah.
All right.
One thing I have to comment on there too.
Yes.
It was only the first couple 2 or 3 chapters that it's only the first 2 chapters I think that they did that 3 of 4 thing. And then it changed from that. I never heard of it again after that.
Yeah. That's because some of this was maybe written by a different author.
Right. And that's kind of what I just thought I'd throw that out there as food for thought.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. This didn't mean that Damascus only committed 3 sins and then God thought of a 4th sin, obviously.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
It just in case anybody thought that's not what it was.
Right.
It simply has the idea of sin upon sin upon sin and shows that the nation has done this again and again and again and can no longer escape punishment. Okay, that's the Bible explanation.
Okay.
Anyways.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
The repetitive expression of 3 and 4 means repetition, abundance, and excess. A literary style that was used among ancient Greek and Latin poets. And so I copied down some examples, which I thought were so fucking fascinating, because I'm a literature geek, right?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so from Ulysses, we have thrice happy Greeks and 4 times who were slain in Atreus' cause upon the Trojan plain.
Huh.
Okay, then we've got Virgil's Aeneid, I never say it right. Damn it. I even looked it up to see how to pronounce it, but that was like 3 days ago.
Right, yeah. Who can keep track of 3 days ago?
I can't.
Yeah.
So struck with unusual fright, the Trojan chief with lifted hands and eyes invokes relief, and thrice and 4 times happy those he cried that under lions' walls before their parents died.
So this would indicate to me, possibly, that the first couple of chapters were not written by Amos or in that time frame. They were written by a Greek author at some other point, or at least reinterpreted and rewritten at some point.
It was Greek and Latin poets who wrote in this style. So it was either a Greek or Latin poet, or it was somebody who appreciated Greek and Latin poetry.
Right, but I'm betting that this Amos guy, if he was actually real, who was a herdsman and a sycamore dresser, was not a Greek and Latin poet also.
Right. No, you're right. That's true.
Just my guess.
True.
But, you know.
That tracks, yeah. I have one more example just because.
Sure, yeah.
Seneca's Hippolytus. Oh, thrice and 4 times happy were the men whom hate devoured, and fraud, hard pressing on, gave us as a prey to death. Oh, yeah, that's it. That was it. Sorry. I was like, wait, what? That's not part of the poem.
Got it.
Okay. Yeah. So I just thought those were neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that answers that question.
Sure.
Like, what the fuck is this 3 and 4?
It's a poetry thing.
It's a poetry thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So under the kings Hazael and Ben-Hadad, Syria, whose capital was Damascus, tortured and butchered its victims by the most brutal of methods. So Syria is condemned to destruction and captivity due to its unrestrained cruelty. Remember, that's what these first chapters were about, is God yelling at all of these different nations.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
So verse 6 reads, "This is what the Lord says, for 3 sins of Gaza, even for 4, I will not relent." So remember, we're traveling through all of these different nations.
Right.
And that's why he's using this particular style of phrase as he's yelling at all these different nations.
Okay.
So in punishment, Philistia's own chief cities, Gaza, Ashdod, Ashkelon, and Ekron, will be destroyed. The condemnation here is not against slavery in and of itself, it should be noted, just as the previous oracle was not actually against war in and of itself.
Okay.
The crime is not that soldiers were enslaved after being taken in battle, which was the standard practice, but that the Philistines used their temporary supremacy to enslave whole populations, soldiers and civilians, men and women, adults and children, young and old, for commercial profit. So if they just taken them as slavery, that's fine. Yeah. But they sold the slaves, and that's the problem.
Got it. Okay.
So Gaza, I mean, oh my God, they did not even need the slaves.
Well, wait, wasn't there a point? Didn't we read something somewhere where God told the Israelites to take people and sell them for profit?
Oh, that's fine.
Maybe it was even in this.
Whatever. Yeah, that's fine.
Whatever. Okay.
I don't know why you would ever criticize anything God did.
Well,
everything God did is beautiful.
Kind of the whole point of this, isn't it?
His butthole does not stink.
Doesn't it?
No.
We should ask Moses, because Moses was like, he showed him his backside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Gaza did not even need the slaves, but they were like, whatever, we like slavery and it's awesome. She merely sold them to Edom for more money.
Oh, okay.
So that Gaza bitch,
got it.
Taking all those slaves and then selling them on top of it.
Right.
Ugh. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was the real problem.
Yeah.
Ugh, I just can't.
Right.
Anyway, Tyre, we can never remember which one it is.
Right.
Of Lebanon, a Phoenician city to the north of Israel and the leading commercial center of the region, would also be conquered and burnt to the ground. It deceived its treaty partners and bought and sold slaves as it would any other merchandise.
Okay.
So they were horrible as well. The people of Edom descended from Esau, the brother of Jacob, later named Israel. So in this way, the Lord could speak of the people of Edom as brother to the God of people. I'm sorry, to the brother to the people of God.
Got it.
In that they shared common ancestors in Abraham and Isaac. Right?
Uh-huh.
So Edom is condemned for savagery, attacking Israel without any thought for the blood relation between the two nations. So it's not that Edom attacked them. It's that it attacked them even though they were brothers. If it had just been some random nation that attacked them, well, that's obviously fine.
Just for the record, it is
tiresome.
Yeah.
Tired of me pronouncing it wrong. Swing tire.
Wife is doing a mental trick on the air.
Yes. Yeah. I'm like, tire. It's tire, you Dumbo. Tire. It probably, I might remember. It could help.
Right.
We'll see. So anyway, Edom sucked more because they were related than because they attacked.
I mean, I kind of get that, I guess, a little bit.
I mean, like, you and your brother used to fight when you were kids, right? And one of you, like, threw a knife at the other or some shit like that?
It was a compass, but yeah, sure.
Okay, right. And so, like, that would have been worse than if just some random kid did it.
Right.
Like, if it would have landed in your eyes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, okay, I guess I'll allow that. The area of Gilead belonged to Israel and suffered attacks not only from Syria, but also from their neighbor to the west, Ammon, whose capital was Rabbah. So Ammon also is going to suffer this devastating judgment because it mercilessly killed whole populations, including defenseless women, children, and babies and animals and stuff, merely just to expand its territory. And we know that it's horrible to kill people just to gain territory. We know that God does not like it when people do that.
Except that he does
that.
He wants them to do that.
Yes.
So
that's why I was using that.
Right. No, I got it. He's literally he's literally suggested the same things.
He's literally a hypocrite. He's literally not real. He's literally a man.
Right.
He's literally gross.
It oftentimes is pitched as a retribution to some other action, but these things don't happen in a void. We're getting one side of the fucking story.
Right.
You know, and I'm not justifying any of it. Fucking violence is horrible no matter which way you're looking at it, right? But when it comes right down to it, especially back in the ancient times here, when it comes to punishing women and children for what is happening in the violence and the wars and everything else, that's terrible no matter what. I don't care which side you're on.
Yeah.
Because they weren't part of the fucking war.
Exactly.
Whatever.
I got to be honest with you, as that was it for chapter 1.
Yeah.
But I got to be honest with you. It's going to be really, really hard for me to keep my anger, ire, and disdain out of the rest of the readings for the rest of this book.
Yeah.
After the American election went the way it did.
Right. So wife's going to get angrier as we go through the Bible.
I'm so fucking, like, I did my mourning and I laid in bed for 2 days crying and I watched Hallmark Christmas movies from 2017 and I ate nothing but like Doritos and Twizzlers and I was sad and I just was so disappointed and disgusted. And today, like, I just woke up so mad. I'm so fucking angry that I'm like, this book can just eat my whole entire ass. Like, literally. So, yeah. Every time, like, I would normally in the past have been like, oh, that's gross. Oh, that sucks. I'm probably going to be going off. So, apologies if you're just joining us now and think that I'm over the top. I was not always this way.
Well, you've mellowed out as we've been reading it somewhat because we've run across so much awful that it's kind of numbed us to the repetitive nature of these things that are happening in the Bible. So.
That is true. But now I'm just all awash in anger all over again.
Right. It's kind of like us being numbed to the message in the Bible is kind of like people being numbed to being numb to Trump. Right?
Yeah.
Like forgetting that Trump was so terrible, apparently. I don't know what the fuck happened, but yeah.
I don't either. Well, I can tell you exactly what happened.
Right.
It was the problem with the Biden administration going weak on the war in Gaza, and everybody decided that that was the issue, that they could not possibly vote for Kamala over Trump. And so they either sat it out or voted for Trump. And I'm like, I agree with you 100% that they're wrong, but do you think Trump's going to make it better? Because he's not.
I think also the fact that she was a woman was part of it, too.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
A large part, actually.
Yeah. And a person of color.
Right.
Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
Yes, I know we voted for Obama. I'm saying that to the 3 people that are shouting, but what about Obama? Like, okay, fuck off. You can you can vote for one black president in the entirety of American history and be like, but we voted for a black person that one time. Like, okay, really, get over yourself.
Right.
Okay. See, I told you I'm just all kinds of pissed. Mm-hmm. So, okay, back to chapter 2 now.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Amos, chapter 2.
There we go.
This is about judgment on God's people.
Okay.
You know, Israel, not just their neighbors and shit.
Sure.
Okay? This chapter contains Amos's prophecies regarding God's judgment against Moab, Judah, and Israel, following a pattern established in chapter 1.
Okay.
Okay? You know, with these people sucked, and here's why.
Right.
Moab was a southern neighbor to Judah that bordered Ammon to the south. They were related to Lot and therefore to Abraham and his descendants.
Right.
The crime of Moab probably is more about sacrilege with the mention of bones and the trumpet.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah, so let's read verse 1, or at least like the second half of it, was because he burned to ashes the bones of Edom's king. Another translation of that is, he burned the bones of the king to Edom into lime.
Okay.
Okay. This profane treatment of the corpse by the Moabite people is not mentioned in any historical documents. So some historical commentators think that Amos wants to show that, quote, the sympathy of God extends beyond the covenant of people and that his people, and that he punishes wrongs inflicted even on the heathen nations.
Oh, okay.
So he's like, you didn't just hurt my people. You did something mean to these people that I actually hate, but they're related to my people. So I'm going to be mad on their behalf for just a minute.
Okay.
Just a minute.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what people are trying to say is why God's like, I can't even believe you did that to Moab. Oh.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the 6 nations previously mentioned did not have God's law. So they're not condemned by that law. They are condemned for ignoring the knowledge of right and wrong. So they're not in trouble for not being God's people. They're in trouble for, like I said, doing the slavery and the selling of the slaves.
Right, the bad shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
As deemed by the Bible and God.
Sure.
Right.
Their inhumanity and cruelty are inexcusable. That's,
okay.
So I had to write that because that's what it said, but I'm like, are they? I don't know. You guys seem pretty fucking inexcusable yourself. So can I really say that what they did back to you was inexcusable? Like,
right.
I think all of you are fucking inexcusable if I'm being honest.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that are as retribution said that they have done, that the Israelites have done to other people that are pretty inexcusable in my eyes.
Yeah,
so.
That's what I'm saying. Like, oh, were they mean to you back?
Right, yeah.
Oh, sucks to suck, doesn't it? But see, here's the problem. Judah did have God's law. Womp, womp.
Yeah.
It is condemned for disobeying that law and going its own way. Some historians suggest that this oracle may have been a later addition to the text.
Okay.
So there we go.
Yeah.
Okay. So verse 7, the second half reads, Father and son used the same girl and so profane my holy name. Okay. They fucked the same whore. You.
Got it. Yeah.
This probably speaks of father and son using the same ritual idolatrous prostitute. So they didn't go there apparently at the same time. They both went there at separate times doing their like ritual things.
Okay.
And the same whore may or may not have serviced them.
Got it.
Because she was a temple prostitute.
Sure. Okay. I got it.
In their idol feasts where young women prostituted themselves publicly in honor of Astarte or, Asherah, that same chick,
Yeah.
The father and son entered into impure connections with the same female.
Okay.
Impure connections. Yeah, they fucked the same whore.
That's
that's
a really pretty way of saying that.
So. Impure connections.
Yeah.
Both of their penises did enter the same vaginal hole.
Some say that Trump had impure connections with Stormy Daniels. So I'm just saying.
Stormy Daniels says that he did.
Yeah,
and I believe her. Because let's be honest, like, who's going to on purpose claim, yeah, I fucked that twat. Ew, he's so gross. I would never. Right? Like, I would not on purpose see that unless it was absolutely true and I had to.
Right.
Like,
you were talking about Stormy Daniels saying that she had sex
why
with
would she
Trump.
lie, right?
Yeah.
It's not like she was happy about it.
Right.
Like, he's gross.
Right.
And E. Jean Carroll, like, yeah, I'm so excited to say that I got raped. And I'm really super excited that the rapist was him. Like, I cannot wait to bring him down in this fashion and, to have everybody look at me this way. Like, fuck off. Believe women, you assholes.
Right.
Okay, sorry. Judges and officials favor those who bribe them. And the result is that the poor and the innocent receive unjust treatment. The rich lend to the poor, then take them as slaves when they cannot repay their debts, even though the debt may be as little as the price of a pair of sandals.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So they're taking advantage of poor people.
Right. Which, I mean, that seems to have been the case throughout history.
I was going to say, are we talking about 2024? Shout out to the, current day.
Yeah.
The wealthy seize the clothes of the poor as guarantees for the repayment of the debts that the poor cannot pay, even though the law of Moses prohibited the seizure of clothes and other essential items as guarantees.
I see.
So, clearly they weren't reading the Torah.
Right.
But since the wealthy have no desire to wear the clothes of the poor because, ew, right?
Yeah, poor clothes, right?
Poor clothes, ugh. They find an alternate use for them. And this is where I was telling you, I bet I know what they did with it.
Okay.
Yes, they spread them out beside the altars to make beds where they would engage in sexual rites with the religious prostitutes.
Wow. And the poor people are like, I don't even want that shit back, man.
Right? Like, it smells like fuck. Like, please, no. The religious feasts became drinking parties, but again, the wine comes from people who have been exploited.
Okay.
Corrupt officials place unjust fines on poor people such as farmers, and of course then when the farmers are unable to pay their fines, the officials seize their wine as payment to use at these fuckfest parties.
Huh.
Whee! Isn't that fun?
Right.
God had richly blessed the people of Israel, bringing them out of slavery, destroying the former inhabitants of Canaan, and giving them a prosperous land to dwell in. And he wants you to remember it for eternity with all strings attached.
Right, right.
He gave them prophets and Nazarites for their spiritual upbuilding, but the people rejected both.
Yeah.
Thousands of years later.
Sure. Well, I mean, they rejected the ideas pretty much all the way through so far.
Yeah.
But again, we've questioned the delivery method too, because we're like, I don't think that this was real clear to people.
It wasn't. God was a very bad distribution person.
Because he wasn't actually doing it.
And
it was
he's still being very bad at it.
Right.
And quite honestly, I've seen the people that are shouting and spouting his words. And if this is the best he can do, I'm vastly disappointed. But let's be honest, there ain't no such thing as God.
Right. No, it's God is merely a tool to produce a message that you want to produce and put people in fear of not obeying that message. Mm-hmm. Right. That's all it's been. That's all it was. It's all it ever will be.
And it's all it is today.
Yeah. That's the whole purpose. And we were talking about on our special for the, when about Trump getting elected, about how, the messaging of even politics with regard to the MAGA, movement especially is very much, it's equivalent to the messaging from the Bible and Christianity. Yeah. It's a fear-based message that gets people to toe the line because they're scared of some hypothetical consequence in the afterlife or in life or whatever. And it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. The vow of the Nazarite is described in Numbers chapter 6 and was used to express a special desire to draw close to God and to separate from the comforts and pleasures of this world. Under the Nazarite vow, a man would eat or drink nothing from the grapevine, so no alcohol,
right?
No wine. He would not cut his hair, and he would not go anywhere near a dead carcass.
Right. So and there was a lot of rules around that, I remember, too. Like there are some exceptions, sort of, sometimes, occasionally. But you have to then only for like family members, but then you have to
you have to go cleanse yourself, and it's like a whole process.
Yeah.
So better be worth it.
Right.
All right, so let's read verse 10. I brought your ass up out of Egypt and led you 40 years in the fucking wilderness to give you the land of the Amorites.
Except that history shows that probably didn't actually happen.
Well, it wasn't the 40 years so much as the Exodus itself.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That it never didn't happen.
Right. Yeah. it didn't. Anyway,
yeah.
Amos here, when he was talking about the land of the Amorites, he's talking about the whole land of Canaan, as the Amorites were the principal nation of Canaan.
Sure.
So
and then,
that's what that was.
The Israelites were like, we want that land. And then God told them that they could have it, so they did.
Sure.
I guess, sort of.
Right.
They kind of conquered it.
Not really,
ever. It was a long process of not quite conquering it.
Ever.
Yeah.
So then let's move on to verse 13. Now then, I will crush you as a cart crushes when loaded with grain. So basically what's happening here is God will therefore crush his people as an ox cart loaded with grain crushes whatever is beneath it.
That's
so
such a nice guy.
Crushing shit.
Yeah.
But I liked this interpretation that I read.
Okay.
I will bring over you the wheel of destruction, and it shall grind your place, your city and temple, as the wheel of a cart laden with sheaves presses down the ground, gravel, and stones over which it rolls.
Yeah, that's a much more poetic way of saying that.
Yeah, the wheel of destruction. I was like, yeah, damn.
Yeah.
Like, somebody got some AI up in here to make it pretty. All right, let's move on to chapter 3.
All right.
Okay. So this chapter is about the logic of God's judgment.
Logic?
The logic of it. Yeah, because, it's very logical to punish people.
Sure.
Okay?
No.
Right.
Okay.
Following the oracles in chapters 1 and 2 against Israel and Judah and the countries surrounding them, Amos then addresses Judah and Israel together.
Right.
So verse 1 reads, "Hear this word, people of Israel, the word the Lord has spoken against you, against the whole family I brought up out of Egypt."
Right.
And I remember you were kind of like, family, the fuck? And I kind of told you at the time, he just means all of the people related. But I was only partly right. Okay.
Okay.
The children or people of Israel is not just the 10 tribes, but the whole family brought up from Egypt, which means all the descendants of Jacob, including Judah and Benjamin. So all 12 tribes.
Okay.
Yes.
I was going to say, I thought it was 12
all
tribes.
12 tribes. Yes. Many Israelites thought that because they were God's people, they could do as they liked without fear of punishment.
I don't think that's it.
I don't think that's true at all.
As we've been reading through this whole thing, there's never been a point where I believed, because of what the Bible says, and specifically actually because of what the Bible says, I have never believed that the Israelites fully bought into the fact that God is the one true God. That God is the only answer.
They were never on board. They weren't specifically like, I'm going to go behind God's back and be sneaky.
No, there were multiple gods and different preachers and priests or whatever the hell they were back then.
Prophet dudes.
The prophets, they worshipped different entities and they wanted you to fall in line with their message versus someone else's message.
And the king of the day.
Right, and the king of the day. But the people, they never stopped worshiping these other gods.
Right.
It was always a prevalent, thing in their life.
Yeah.
So I don't.
It bears repeating because they keep trying to tell us that, they thought that they could get away with it. And it's like, no, they just wanted it to, not rain or do rain on the right day. And so they tried to pick whichever God worked best.
And we're hearing this from the words of the prophets that were the ones that believed that this one God was the one God.
Right.
Right. But that doesn't account for the ideas of the rest of their society.
Right.
At all.
Which clearly, they never took. Because you prophety guys that wrote this down, you keep talking about how, these people, am I right? And it's like, these people, am I right, that never, ever believed you ever?
I'm not going to say it never took. Because obviously we have Judaism and we have Christianity.
Sure.
Right? So I think it did start becoming more and more prevalent. But this is an older book. We can tell by the way it's written, what they're writing about, who they're talking to, because they're talking to the other tribes of Israel still, right? So back in those days, for sure, there was not a consensus as to which gods were the correct gods to worship based on what we have read. There was a lot of gods from in every book of the Bible that we've read. There's been multiple gods that these people are bouncing between because they don't know which one is the correct God.
Right.
And they don't know which human being to believe is telling them this is the correct God.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's so many different people pitching different gods that it's hard to tell. Their fucking temples had worship centers for multiple gods.
Right.
Right? Like, it wasn't something that the general populace was able to
discern right from wrong.
And I think it's unfair to say you should know better because they don't know better.
Why should they know better?
Right. Yeah. You're saying they should know better because you think you know better.
Right.
That's the only reasoning you have. Mm-hmm. And it makes me angry because it's a lot of the same reasons that you get from a Christian apologist today. Like, you should know God because I know God. I'm like, well, fuck off.
Right.
That doesn't mean shit to me, man.
Like, I don't even like you. Why?
Right,
why am I going to believe you? You're stupid. Honestly, God should get a better messenger. Like, seriously.
Yeah, for sure.
If God wants me to believe, God will get down here and make me believe. Okay?
Why doesn't God come down and tell me his fucking self?
Yep.
That's my, like, if he is that powerful, just do it, man.
And that's not a challenge. That's just you're not explaining it good enough because I don't like you and you're dumb. So sorry.
Yeah. And you didn't like put a mark on this guy that like lets me know that you were sending the message directly to him.
Right.
So I don't know what you're supposed to, I don't know why I'm supposed to believe him.
Right? Like, just as human,
you
know, as far as I'm concerned, every human sharts, and this guy's a sharter.
Yeah,
you know?
Definitely.
Sorry, I can't help you. Like, send me somebody who ain't a sharter, I guess. Make a donkey talk to me.
Right, yeah. I mean, if a donkey talked, I might listen to the donkey.
Probably not, but I would be
more
very
so than
impressed.
Just a random human.
Right.
You know?
I would still be like, the fuck do you know, donkey? but I would be impressed that he spoke. I just wouldn't necessarily believe a thing he said.
Okay.
Right?
I would be more inclined to believe the donkey if a donkey is speaking and chose to speak about a god. I would be like, oh, that's a pretty compelling. Big sign. That's a pretty compelling sign right there. You know, I'm interested. As far as signs go,
I'm interested.
The talking ass, that's a good one.
I'm not going to say it's a sign. I'm saying I'm interested.
Yeah,
go on.
Right. Yeah. No, why isn't the prophet a talking ass? That would make a whole lot more sense.
Right. I totally agree with you.
Really, they are talking asses, but you know, that's a whole other story.
Yeah, exactly. Many Israelites thought that because they were God's people, we just read this, they could do as they liked without fear of punishment. But on the contrary, says Amos, God's choice of them to be his people is all the more reason why he will punish them if they are disobedient.
Of course, because he loves to punish his own people.
Well, yeah, he's already said.
Yeah, no, I know.
Fear me is best.
Right, because it means more that you should know better, according to God.
Yeah.
Then, yeah.
And also because never not be afraid.
Right, of course.
All right, verse 2 reads, you only have I chosen of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your fucking sins.
Yeah. This is where we were like, please don't choose us.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, I have to read something now. So I don't know if you've heard this. Okay, this happened before the election. At a rally for Donald Trump last week in Duluth, Georgia, disgraced former Fox News host Tucker Carlson had some really fucking creepy things to say about punishment that I thought fit right here. Okay. Because we're talking about punish you for your sins.
Sure.
So, okay, well, the fact that you're not like, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about means that you haven't heard this.
No, I haven't heard this.
You're gonna love it.
Am I? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna love it, huh?
Yeah. Oh,
okay. Yeah. You can tell by my tone. I don't like that fucker.
No.
Okay.
No. All right. So I'm being Tucker now. I'm quoting what he said.
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
Verbatim.
Yeah.
This is not me summarizing.
I got it.
Okay.
Yep.
If you allow a baby to smear poop on the walls, or a 14-year-old to light a joint at the breakfast table, or if you allow your hormone-addled 15-year-old daughter to slam the door of her bedroom and give you the finger, you're going to get more of it. There has to be a point at which dad comes home. Dad comes home and he's pissed. He's not vengeful. He loves his children. Disobedient as they may be, he loves them because they're his children. They live in his house.
Oh.
But he's very disappointed in their behavior, and he's going to let them know. And when dad gets home, you know what he says?
What does he say?
You've been a bad girl. You've been a bad little girl.
Wait, what?
And now you're getting a vigorous spanking right now. And no, it's not going to hurt me more than it hurts you. This is Tucker Carlson saying this to a crowd. Okay. No, it's not. I'm not going to lie. It's going to hurt you a lot more than it hurts me. And you earned this. You're getting a vigorous spanking because you've been a bad girl. And it has to be this way. The crowd went wild. Then Donald Trump came to the stage and his followers greeted him with the rapturous cries of "Daddy's home."
Oh my God.
Because we are living in the worst, most disgusting timeline. And then over half of America voted for him to be their president-daddy. Fuck. That's literally what my notes say.
I got it. So
I thought that was an appropriate place to stick that.
Sure. Yeah.
Punishment.
I don't really know what to say about that because there's so many things wrong with that statement that I don't even hardly know where to begin. But
it was creepy as fuck. Highly recommend all of you look it up because I'm not making it up. I didn't paraphrase.
Right.
It's really fucking creepy. He's obviously giving very sexual innuendo tones.
Right.
Like not even trying to hide it.
Well,
the crowd loved it.
And I take, well, yeah, they're all whatever.
Freaks.
Yeah.
They're all fucking freaks.
But I take issue even with something as simple as like, this is my house. Like, what?
Right.
Fuck you. It's our house.
No, it's his house.
No, I'm just
Daddy's
saying,
home.
Like, and he's that alone
you.
is a wrong idea.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't own your family as a father figure or as any parental figure.
But if you are a Christian, apparently you do. And if you are a Christian, this is your country.
And this is why we're doing this fucking podcast.
Exactly.
Because Jesus Christ, that is some fucked up bullshit religious rhetoric coming from
Tucker motherfucking Carlson.
Apparently, this is just mainstream ideas.
Yeah.
In the right, in the Republican right. Mm-hmm. Like, wow.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So I was telling husband tonight, actually. I keep seeing these things on Facebook that are like, but we still have to be nice. And I'm like, absolutely fucking not. Absolutely fucking not. I was off of Facebook for about 2 years because my mental health would make me go down rabbit holes and I just couldn't. I couldn't deal.
Yeah.
But don't, after the shit that is coming down the pipe, tell me, but we still have to be fucking hug a Nazi. Try to find common ground with the people that are trying to kill you and your loved ones. And let's all still find a way to be nice. Don't speak out loud because that makes you the problem. When you make waves, you're the problem, not the person that's being the racist or the bully. You're the problem because you spoke against it.
Right.
I'm like, no, abso-fucking-lutely not.
Right.
Tucker fucking Carlson delivered that speech. The people cheered and went and voted for goddamn Trump. Fuck off. The gloves are off. I will not be nice. I'm not hugging no goddamn Nazis, and I don't give a shit if we all like the same flavor ice cream. Okay?
Yeah, I'm going to caveat that I think that there is some important dialogue that needs to happen over the next 4 years with people that are reachable.
Sure. But I'm not the person to deliver that.
I understand.
I don't have that. I'm not built for that. As I have said multiple times.
No, I'm just doing my part to counterbalance.
I'm also not advocating violence. I'm just not going to get on there and be like, yes, let us all sing Kumbaya and hug one another. If we just hug it out, the Nazis will not Nazi.
Right. I don't believe that, obviously.
Right.
Like,
no, I know. But that's what the people they don't want to hear the mean things. Stop being mad. Oh, there's so much mad. I just don't want to hear the mad. Why does everybody post things that are mad?
Right.
No mad is happening in my little white life.
No, yeah, definitely. That is the sentiment amongst a lot of people. So, and yeah, I don't know.
I'm sorry, but if you are not mad, you are privileged. The end.
Yeah.
That's all there is
absolutely.
to it. If you're not mad, you're a white guy and you're privileged. And fuck off. Honestly.
Generally speaking,
Of course, generally speaking, but that's all I speak is in generalities.
I know.
Anyways, to carry on.
Yeah.
To prevent the people from thinking that he is making idle threats, Amos points out that he has a good reason for speaking with such boldness.
Oh, okay.
He gives a list of illustrations to show that there is a reason for everything. So he's like, remember when he was like, what? Don't you two, if you're walking the same way, arm in arm, don't you agree and shit like that?
Right.
Okay, so that's a whole list that he gives, and that's the only one I can remember because fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Verse 8 reads, "The lion has roared, who will not fear? The sovereign Lord has spoken, but who can prophesy?" So Amos is basically saying, don't fucking blame me, I'm just a messenger.
Right.
Okay, that's what he's saying there.
Yeah.
Then he tries to shame the people of Israel whose capital, as a reminder, is Samaria, by inviting their enemies, represented here by Philistia and Egypt, to come and see how bad the nation is. He's like, hey guys, why don't you come over here and look at how much we suck with all its oppression, lawlessness, and violence and greed.
I just want to say back to you were saying how he was saying that don't shoot the messenger because I'm just relaying the message. I think there's a lot of nefarious things and messages that get put out into the world under the guise of it's just God's message.
It's just God.
I'm not saying that I think this is the best method, but God says it is. So we got to listen to God.
Right.
But like it relieves the burden of like you don't have to answer for what you're saying is that thing.
It's not my fault.
If God said it,
yeah,
you're just relaying a message for God.
Exactly.
Right? You're not actually yourself promoting that idea.
Right.
Because if you were, you might sound like a fucking misogynistic asshole or, whatever, racist asshole, whatever the fuck you would be by saying what you're saying.
Yeah.
But when you say God said it, it allows people to be like, well, God said it.
Yeah.
It wasn't my pastor. It wasn't my priest. It wasn't whatever.
He's just quoting the Bible. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate it. It just, that's why Christianity, that's why religion is nefarious, right? Because it allows people to
scapegoat,
and it allows them to pitch messages that are too radical in the wrong way for them to actually promote themselves.
Yeah.
They push off that burden onto a God and then say that this is what this God is saying. And that's how they push these agendas of bad, of wrong,
like
of
a lot
whatever.
a lot of the racist Christians are like, what if we reinstated slavery? What? I'm just saying, it says it in the Bible. What? God wants it. What? I'm not racist.
No, and that's
literally
exactly
says it in the Bible.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. Like if we allow people to use God for whatever purposes they want, they will use God for whatever purposes they want.
Of course.
And that's why it's an important thing at the very least, whether you're still a Christian by the time you're done listening to this podcast or not. It's important to point out the wrong and the fallacies and the contradictions in this Bible and say them with, emphasize those wrong things.
Yeah.
Because if we don't, someone is going to use them against us. Someone is going to use them for evil. Someone is going to use them to influence people in a way that there may be no coming back from for hundreds, thousands of years. Right. These are important things to understand and grasp as humans, that this is not a God saying these things. Right. Whether you believe in God or not, you cannot, if you are a decent human being, believe that slavery is okay because the Bible said so. Right. Like that is not okay.
Yeah.
And there's so many things that could be pitched as okay through the Bible's messaging that are not okay. And it just has to be said. It has to be understood. You have to at least stop there, right? Like we're going into a period in our political history here that things might get really shitty. We have to stop this somewhere. Right? Somewhere. And part of that is understanding where these messages are coming from.
Yeah, they're coming from your fucking dumb book that you haven't fucking read.
They're coming from the dumb book, but they're really coming from people who want to make these things happen and using this book, to make them happen.
Sure.
It has not. You could make this book say whatever the fuck you want it to say.
But I noticed that people only use it to push bad plans.
Yeah. I'm not. If we're talking about the alt-right and right-wing Christians and all that kind of stuff, then yes, in my opinion, you are correct. There are allies that are Christian. So I'm not going to say that everybody uses the book for bad. Some people believe in hope, and some people believe in the good that Christ does, and all these hooey wonderful things.
Those messages don't seem to gain much traction, though.
It seems that way, and I will say that the ugly side of Christianity is much more vocal.
Well, considering that Trump didn't just win the Electoral College, but actually won the goddamn popular vote.
No, I know.
I'm going to say majority of Americans, at least, seem to be really taken with the idea of what the Bible is pushing.
Sure.
So.
No, I hear you. I do.
Sorry, I might be a little bit still pissed and cynical and angry. Let's move on to verse 12.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay. This is what the Lord says. As a shepherd rescues from the lion's mouth only 2 leg bones or a piece of an ear.
Yeah.
So will the Israelites living in Samaria be rescued with only the head of a bed and a piece of fabric from a couch.
And a recliner.
Remember we were like, what random fucking body parts?
Yeah, right?
Yeah. So this verse is Amos's first reference to the idea of a remnant.
Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And Exodus, the book of Exodus, chapter 22, verses 10 through 13 say that if an animal dies in the care of another man, such as a shepherd, the shepherd must make restitution to the owner of the animal unless he could bring remains that proved the animal was attacked by a predator.
Oh, okay.
So that's what this is hearkening back to.
Ah, okay.
So when Amos makes this comparison, he is actually making the sarcastic point that when invasion strikes, Israel's devastation will be so complete that all that will be rescued is proof of death in the form of scraps of furniture.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
So we had a question. It wasn't that it was a question so much as I remember us commenting like, what an odd statement.
Yeah.
But it actually did have a place that it was pulling from.
Got it. Okay.
So that makes it make a little bit more sense.
Sure.
Okay. Verse 15 reads, I will tear down the winter house along with the summer house. The houses adorned with ivory will be destroyed and the mansions will be demolished, declares the Lord.
Right.
And we were like, whoa, rich houses, I guess? What?
Yeah, right.
So I will not only destroy the poor habitations and villages in the country, but I will destroy those of the nobility and gentry, as well as the lofty palaces in the fortified cities in which they dwell in the winter season, as well as those late and elegant seats in which they spend the summer season. Okay. That's what he's basically saying.
All right. So this wasn't a comment about rich versus poor. It's just that everybody. Oh, was it? Okay.
It was.
Okay. All right.
The ivory houses, remarkable for their magnificence and their ornaments, were not built of ivory, but had walls in which ivory vessels, ornaments, and inlaying abounded.
Sure.
So yeah, but they were talking about the lofty places, the rich houses, the mansions, all that shit.
Right.
I'm judging it all.
Right.
Okay?
But that's what I'm saying. Like everyone's going to be treated equal, poor, rich, whatever.
Yeah. He's saying, I'm not only just going to destroy the poor ones, I'm going to get the rich ones too.
The reason I'm saying that is because I think when we read it, I thought that maybe he was just focusing on the rich.
Got it.
So I think I misinterpreted that at the time.
Okay.
So that's all.
Got it. Yeah. He's taking everybody down.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to chapter 4.
Sure.
Okay, this chapter contains the denunciation of Israel's nobles as Israel is reproved for oppression, for idolatry, and for their incorrigibleness.
Okay. You're
incorrigible.
Yeah.
Okay, so verse 1 reads, hear this word, you cows of Bashan on Mount Samaria, ye women who oppress the poor and crush the needy, and say to your husbands, bring us some margaritas.
Yeah.
Okay, bring us some drinks is what it says.
Right.
I changed drinks to margaritas because that's what I would be shouting.
Sure.
As a matter of fact, when we have Mexican food, that is what I shout every time, 100%. When we go out for Mexican food, I always say, I'm having a margarita.
Right.
Because
you do.
Because that tracks. That's what you have to do.
You gotta.
And I love margaritas. Oh my God. All right. So the area of Bashan in the northern part of Israel, the modern day Golan Heights, was known for producing fat and healthy livestock, flocks, and herds. It was also famous for the fertility of its soil. So the sarcastic epithet cows of Bashan seems to refer both to the luxury that the wealthy women enjoyed and to a certain voluptuousness and sensuality which their extravagant lifestyle afforded them.
Got it.
Okay. The prophet presents the idea that the iniquitous, opulent, idle, lazy drones, whether men or women, are just like fatted bullocks, which were shortly to be led out to the slaughter. So not only are they lazy fat cows, all of them, but they're lazy fat cows that are also about to be killed for food.
Got it.
So
Yeah.
It's like a double whammy.
Sure.
So the wealthy women here who have urged their husbands on to violence and fraud and to exploit the poor to increase their own extravagance are likened to this lot of fat cows.
Got it.
When the enemy conquers Samaria, these women will be taken captive and led out like cows through the gaps in the broken city wall.
Again, I made a comment at the time, but I think it's really convenient that they focus on the women's issues here as opposed to the men, because the men are also living large. The men are also enjoying their wealth, but it never fails in the Bible that they tend to call out the problems with the women as opposed to the men. Well, not 100% of the time, but the majority of the time.
That's because when men are bad, they were usually led there by the women.
That's the way they pitch it, yeah.
Yes, women are temptresses.
It's
honey-lipped vixens.
Right, yeah.
That harkens back to early episodes, in case you were wondering.
Earlier episodes.
Yeah. I guess not early.
Right, it was recent-ish, within the last 5 books at least.
10 books.
5 books.
10 books.
Whatever. So not the beginning.
Not the beginning. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
All right. So verse 2 reads, "The sovereign Lord has sworn by his holiness. The time will surely come when you will be taken away with hooks, the last of you with fish hooks." Remember, we had a question about what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So when the Assyrians massacred and exiled a conquered community, they led the captives away on journeys of hundreds of miles, with the captives naked and attached together with the system of strings and fish hooks pierced through their lower lip.
Oh, that's horrible.
So this is saying that God will make sure that they were led in this humiliating manner through the broken walls of their conquered cities.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Right? Like that mental image will live rent-free in my head forever now.
I bet
Thanks,
fish hooks
Bible.
weren't anything like they are today. Not that it would be fun today, but you know, I bet they were a lot uglier back then.
And rusty as fuck.
Right?
Yeah. Like, God, people are so nasty.
Not a happy thought.
Like, okay, so you're walking around in the apocalypse. Does it even occur to you when you pick up a sharp object, hey, I think I'll pierce this through somebody's fucking lip?
Well, apparently it did.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I cannot imagine. That is just so grotesque.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I don't understand it. I'm like, ew, I don't want that in my lip. I couldn't imagine putting it in somebody else's lip.
Right.
Ew. Ugh.
Yeah.
All right. Verse 3 reads, "You will each go straight out through breaches in the wall, and you will be cast out toward Harmon, declares the Lord." So continuing with the fish hook metaphor.
Yeah.
Metaphor. Was it a metaphor? I don't think so.
It doesn't sound like it.
"You will be caught by the hooks or by the nets. And though you may make breaches in the nets by your flouncing when caught, you'll be taken out at these very breaches and cast not back into the palace, but into a reservoir to be kept a while, and afterwards be taken out to be destroyed." So it was also talking about how this whole fishing village thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was, I guess, kind of a metaphor, like a double entendre kind of thing.
Sure.
So Samaria here itself is the net. Your adversaries shall besiege it and make breaches in its walls. At those breaches you will endeavor to make your escape, but you'll be caught and led into captivity where most of you will be destroyed.
Got it.
Okay. So,
and just I did a quick bit of research because I know we had a question about Harmon, and I was curious about the if that related to like a fishing village, because they were talking about fishing hooks and everything.
Yeah.
Which obviously we've already covered why there was fishing hooks, so that wasn't it.
No, that's okay.
But for what I came up with here is that it is possibly, there's a couple of different things. There are a few different things. It's possibly symbolic. And it might be symbolic of a far off land or a land of destruction.
Okay.
It also could be just corrupted text. So like it could be somebody just misinterpreted the name.
Awesome.
But it's not like no one can relate this to an actual place, apparently.
Oh.
But it could also be an actual place that just has been lost to time.
Got it.
So those, just throwing that out there because I did have a question about that when we were going through. So that's all.
Yeah. Well, in words of cutting irony, Amos calls the people to the places of worship, encouraging them to continue their zealous but unspiritual religious exercises. Like, remember, he was being like so sarcastic, like, go ahead, bring them,
right.
do your thing. Do it 3 times. I don't care. Yeah, cool, go. So the more that they do so, the more they will increase their sin. They are corrupt, immoral, ungodly, greedy, lawless, and violent, yet they love to make a show of their religious zeal. Sounds familiar.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Amos mocks them by urging them to offer their sacrifices daily. Normally, private citizens did this yearly. To offer their tithes every 3 days instead of every 3 years. To present their sacrifices with leaven, which was, of course, forbidden.
Right.
And to advertise their free will offerings instead of offering them privately.
I see.
So that was all that sarcastic stuff. He's like,
right.
Go ahead.
Yep.
Why don't you just, go all out, fuckers? All right. So moving on to chapter 5. Okay.
Yep.
This was about a call to repentance. This chapter contains a lamentation for Israel in the style of a funeral song.
Yeah.
An exhortation to repentance and God's rejection of their hypocritical service.
Got it.
Because they're, lip service. They're faking.
Sure.
They're only saying the words, not the actions.
Yeah.
Right. So verse 2 reads, fallen is virgin Israel, never to rise again, deserted in her own land, with no one to lift her up. Remember, we had questions like, virgin, the fuck?
Right.
Weird.
Yeah.
So Amos saw Israel as a tragic young woman, fallen and forsaken, with no one coming to her aid, carried off by death before she has experienced married life. In her rebellion against God, Israel was as helpless as a young woman among violent men. Okay. So that's what that was about.
Yeah.
So then what God wants is not an increase in religious ceremonies, but a turning in heart and life toward him.
Right.
He does not want processions to religious holy places, which in any case are about to be destroyed.
Sure.
But the administration of civil justice that is fair to all. That sounds pretty.
It's funny. The early Bible, the first 5 books, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Pentateuch. Right?
Oh, yeah.
They focused a lot on law and ceremony.
That's why
right?
it's called the law.
Yeah. No, I get it. Right. So like back in those days, we were spelling out the law. We were delivering the rules and how to do these things. Right. But ever since that time in the Bible, it's been about how you feel about doing these things, how you do them in your heart, and like how it makes more emotional sense to you as opposed to the actual rules of it. I just find it interesting that like
here's the rules, and then the rest of the Bible is, and here's how they didn't follow them.
Yeah, exactly. It's just that's kind of how it's laid out, and I feel like with any set of rules, people are going to bend the rules and break the rules because why wouldn't you if there's no real, punishment for it?
Right.
Like other than public chastisement, that would be the only thing that you maybe suffered would be if someone ridiculed you for doing something that they deemed wrong, which is still how it operates today.
Right.
So I don't know. It's funny how it all breaks down.
Oh, that's really interesting because that actually reminds me of another thing that I read today online, which was a woman took a picture of, this was like right before the election, like a day or two before the election.
Okay.
This woman took a picture of a postal worker that was wearing a MAGA hat. And as soon as she whipped out her camera to take a picture of him, he whipped the hat off his head because, Hatch Act, right? And so she even said, Hatch Act much? And the Hatch Act is where you can't advertise shit like that as a
government employee.
Yeah.
Right.
Like stop being grotesque and breaking rules just because you have clearly gotten away with it as a white man all your life. Can you just not maybe?
Sure.
And so then, she's like, Hatch Act much? And then he's like, get a life, lady. Because, clearly she's the problem. Like, oh my God, I can't believe you're being so pissy over such a small thing. And it's like,
well, that's the general mentality.
If it was so small, sir, why didn't you just keep your hat on loud and proud and not worry about it?
Right.
Was it small?
Yeah.
Was it small? I don't know. You're carrying fucking ballots that are being mailed in. Was it small?
Right.
You're representing the goddamn government, and we are hoping that you can at least... We get that you're human, so you're not going to be fair. What we're hoping is that you can pretend to be fair, put on the show of being fair, and maybe some of you will even sometimes act fair.
Sure.
We know that you can't possibly be fair all the time. The hijack means that we agree that we're going to pretend to, though.
Sure.
We're going to put on the show of being fair.
Right.
Right? But then when she posts this, like 99% of the comments were like, maybe you do need to get a life. Like,
Of course they were.
Yeah. And can you guess which side these were all on?
Trump's.
Yeah. Except for some of the liberals that love to shoot people in the foot.
Oh, God.
They were like, well, I mean, to be fair.
Right.
And I'm like, can you right the fuck off? Like, okay, I love being a liberal. I cannot stand a goddamn liberal who's going to shoot another liberal in the foot over something like that actually fucking matters. Like, fuck off. Okay?
Sure.
Fuck off. It matters. Okay? This lady doesn't need to get a life. That guy was wrong.
Yeah.
So fuck off. Maybe next week it won't be against the law anymore. Okay?
Probably not.
But right now, today, it's still against the law to do that. And it fucking matters because you are supposed to pretend to be fair. And you were not pretending to be fair. So fuck off. Okay.
Right.
Anyway, verse 8. Moving on.
Yeah.
Reads, he who made the Pleiades and Orion, who turns midnight into dawn and darkens day into night, who calls for the waters of the sea and pours them out over the face of the land. The Lord is his name.
Yeah. Did you look up about the constellations?
Yeah, I did. And apparently those folks named it all a long time ago. They knew about that shit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to read you a little bit of background about this, okay?
Yeah.
So the Pleiades is an open star cluster, also known as the Seven Sisters, located in the northwest of the constellation Taurus. The name Pleiades comes from ancient Greek.
As I thought.
Yeah. It probably derives from the root to sail because of the cluster's importance in marking the sailing season in the Mediterranean Sea.
Okay.
In classical Greek mythology, the name was used for 7 divine sisters called the Pleiades. In time, the name was said to be derived from that of a mythical mother, Pleione, effectively meaning daughters of Pleione.
Well, and that constellation is still affectionately known as the Seven Sisters.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. So, but that was known way back. Like the ancient Greeks were the ones who put this wording, this belief system out there. So it's no surprise that it shows up in the Bible.
Sure.
The earliest known depiction of the Pleiades is likely a northern German Bronze Age artifact known as the Nebraska Sky Disk, dated to approximately 1600 BCE.
Okay.
Right? Cool.
Yeah.
The Babylonian star catalogs name the Pleiades Mul, capital M-U-L.
Okay.
Which means stars, or literally star. And they had the list of stars along the ecliptic, reflecting the fact that they were close to the point of the vernal equinox around the 23rd century BCE. The ancient Egyptians may have used the names followers and Ennead in the prognosis texts of the calendar of lucky and unlucky days.
Okay.
Apparently that's a document that exists, or whatever you call their papyrus things.
Right.
So some Greek astronomers consider them to be a distinct constellation, and they are mentioned by Hesiod's Works and Days, Homer's Iliad and Odyssey, and the Geoponica.
Okay.
The Pleiades was the most well-known quote-unquote star among pre-Islamic Arabs, and so is often referred to simply as the star.
Okay.
Pleiades and Orion are mentioned in the book of Job even, which I don't know why we overlooked that, because we've already read the book of Job. But in verses 31 and 32, it reads, "Can you bind the chains of the Pleiades? Can you loosen Orion's belt? Can you bring forth the constellations in their seasons, or lead out the bear with its cubs? Only a few stars and constellations are named individually in the Hebrew Bible, and their identification is not certain. The clearest references include Orion as a giant angel, the Pleiades, Aldebaran, Arcturus, or Sirius, the Hyades, which are the Pleiades' sisters, like it's a sister constellation.
Sure.
So the Hyades, Arcturus, or even the evening star, which is Venus when seen at dusk, or Ursa Major and Ursa Minor.
So just to throw this out there too, apparently the Greek names for those constellations were not actually used in the Bible. They were Hebrew names. Orion was called Kessel.
Okay.
And Pleiades is called Kema.
Okay.
So I just thought I'd throw that in there real quick because I was kind of, part of my curiosity was
the actual word choice.
Yeah, because it was Greek wording for the, like in the Bible, which, Greek origins anyway.
So when you said the Kessel, is that?
Kessel.
Kessel. Yeah. I think I read also that was where Charon also had a similar base word from that or something, that they were related.
Okay.
I thought I read that.
It could be right, yeah.
So aside from Earth, only 2 planets are named in the Hebrew Bible, and that would be Saturn and Venus.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. So when corrupt people are accused by the poor of being dishonest, they respond with increased hatred and cruelty.
Of course they
moving
do.
on now.
Yeah.
They use their power to force the poor into greater hardship. Then, with the money they have dishonestly gained, they build bigger and more luxurious houses and gardens.
Yeah.
And they are able to do all this without fear of opposition because they bribe government officials and no one dares to speak out against them.
Sounds so relevant, doesn't it?
It really does, because I read that part of, not Project 2025. What was President Dudah's like his Project 45 or whatever that he called it after himself.
Sure. Yeah.
Part of his plan specifically is that he's going to illegalize homelessness across the country. And he's going to say you have a choice between incarceration or these tent cities that they're going to set up on federal lands. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And in these tent cities, you will receive, I forget what all it was, but you'll receive basically some kind of retraining program and perhaps sterilization and stuff.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. But healthcare, though. What? Yeah.
These are American citizens, generally speaking.
Yeah, but they're homeless.
Okay.
They are obviously in the wrong for having had bad luck fall upon them.
Again, there's so many things that if they happen, I swear it's just not. This isn't America at that point, I don't really understand whatever.
Okay, so let's everybody just be nice though. Everybody be nice. Just hug a Nazi.
Nope.
Okay. All right. So, let's see, moving on to verse 24. But let justice roll on like a river, righteousness like a never-failing stream. Which, that's kind of nice.
Sure.
So nice, as a matter of fact, that Martin Luther King Jr. cited this verse in his infamous I Have a Dream speech, which he gave on August 28th, 1963 in Washington, D.C.
Sure.
So, I thought that was a nice thing.
Yeah.
And so did he, which makes me happy.
It's just funny the context that it comes out of.
Yeah.
Right? These nice speeches that include, look, we all respect Martin Luther King Jr., right?
Yeah, even the Republicans want to claim him as their own.
Apparently, right? But even back then, they were picking and choosing the beautiful language out of this text to promote messages that they wanted to promote.
And my God, you got to look hard for it,
that being said, the messages that Martin Luther King Jr. was promoting, I stand behind, I believe in strongly. Right?
Let justice roll on like a river, righteousness like a never failing stream. That is beautiful. And I do believe in that. Yes.
But it goes to show that the messaging in the Bible can be used for any and all purposes.
Yep.
Right? It has no boundaries for what you can apply it to.
Right. Exactly.
Good, bad, indifferent, whatever.
It's true. Yep. So this chapter concludes with observing that their idolatry was of long standing, and they increased the national guilt by adding to their the sins of their fathers, and that their punishment therefore should be great in proportion.
The national guilt.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're literally like talk about we've talked about group punishment, but like just to announce
y'all are guilty as a whole.
Guilt.
Yeah.
Like you can do no right because it's national guilt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
fuck all of you across the board.
You're screwed.
Yeah. The people's sacrifices, besides being offered without any thought of moral holiness or obedience, were corrupted through false religion. This was not the way Israelites offered sacrifices in the time of Moses. God will now punish Israel. Their sacrifices will cease, and they, with their foreign gods, will be taken into captivity. God damn it. So verse 26 reads, "You have lifted up the shrine of your king, the pedestal of your idols, the star of your God, which you made for yourselves. And ye have borne the tabernacle of your Moloch." He declares the reason why he denied that they had sacrificed to God in the wilderness.
Okay.
So astrologers commonly associated Saturn with Israel. Early historians further speculate that there may have been a star on the idol's head representing Saturn, and draw a connection with a star in hieroglyphics representing God. The idols or images were carried in portable tents, tabernacles, chests, shrines, or altars of Venus and or Diana. These were small chapels, generally gilded and ornamented with flowers, and in other ways intended to hold a small idol when processions were made and to be carried or driven about with it. Such shrines were used by the Egyptians, hence Egypt was likely the source of this idolatry.
Got it.
So remember when he was like saying that y'all did not sacrifice to me in the wilderness?
Sure.
That's because they were literally carrying him around.
Got it.
So that was the sacrifice.
Oh, okay.
And
okay.
yeah, that's what he's saying. Like, that's how all that tied together.
Got it.
So.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that's all I have.
Got it. Well, that I think sums up our Q&A for today.
For chapters 1 through 5 of Amos.
Yep. And I will be getting the weekly wrap up out here shortly.
Which will be 1 week worth of material, but 2 weeks worth of days.
Yes. Now, that being said, we have a special episode that we did yesterday or the day before for the Trump thing, which I'm going to put on next
post election, whatever.
Right. Which I'm going to put on next week's Q&A.
Really?
Or next week's wrap up. Because we already have 2 specials that we missed for this Q&A from the last time. Because we've gone so long without finishing.
So we'll have 2 in this weekly wrap up, and then we'll have 2 in the next weekly wrap up?
Yes.
Okay. Got it. Yes.
All right. Well, we'll see you next time then.
Whenever that may be.
Right.
Bye.
The new Boost Mobile network is offering unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month for life.
That sounds like a threat.
Then how do you think we should say it?
Unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month for the rest of your life?
I don't know.
Until your ultimate demise.
What if we just say forever?
Okay.
$25 a month, forever.
Get unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month with Boost Mobile forever.
After 30 gigabytes, customers may experience slower speeds. Customers will pay $25 a month as long as they remain active on the Boost Unlimited plan.
How did you actually sleep last night? If it didn't feel like your very best rest, then you need to upgrade to the softest, most luxurious bedding from Boll & Branch. Their signature sheets are made from the finest 100% organic cotton and get softer with every wash. Millions of sleepers love their sheets, and right now, you can feel the difference for yourself during their biggest sales of the entire year. Hurry to bollandbranch.com to shop their best offers. Limited time only. Exclusions apply. See site for details.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be. To be.
Hey, wife, I guess that's the end?
But husband, that's just sad.
It doesn't have to be. We are on lots of social media platforms like Twitter. Our handle there is sacrilegious_D.
For D's nuts.
Oh my God. Stop doing that. Anyway, we're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. There's a link to all of our social media sites at our website.
Ooh, we have a website?
Yeah, it's sacrilegiousdiscourse.com, where you can also find a link to our merch shop.
We have a merch shop?
Yep, we have podcast-themed clothing, mugs, notebooks, and more, as well as an atheist and science-themed products.
Wow, our fans should really go check that out right now.
Definitely. They can get in touch with us by sending an email to sacrilegiousdiscourse@gmail.com. But before they do that, we could really use some help.
Oh yeah? With what?
Well, it's not free running the podcast, and we need some financial support in order to get better equipment, which will free up time so we can concentrate on our podcast and our fans.
Okay, so what should they do?
Head over to patreon.com/sacrilegious discourse and sign up as a contributor on our podcast. Supporters there receive additional bi-weekly episodes that we record just for our Patreon members for as little as $2 a month.
Also, we'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe on whatever platform you're using.
And Apple Podcast reviews help us out tremendously.
Like and subscribe. Leave an Apple review. Join us on Twitter. Support us on Patreon. That's a lot of instructions. Don't forget to say thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.